Angie, Kenneth, good evening to you. Though tomorrow is the address, today was the first time in nearly a week that the president has been seen in public. This has grown to about 200 some protesters. If you are dog owners, you can probably relate to this very routine part of your day. This is where this man says yesterday he and his 3 dogs, they're about to end their day.
We're about 200 to 300 feet away from the actual wreckage site. This is the closest we have gotten since the collapse a week ago. Now, we do have to be careful with exactly how close we can get to this ship.
Mayor, are you planning to go to the scene at all in Southeast D.C.? Well, the president's remarks lasted just over 10 minutes this afternoon. This was after the tour itself. At this point, all of these names are still just pure speculation. No formal announcement yet. So we'll wait and see what happens at this event. All of this information is very preliminary. So some of the questions we had, of course, they weren't able to answer. This is, however, the closest we have gotten to the school. So I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to show you guys. You can see the bullet holes in the windows on the first floor. The owner of Tennistopia says this is the hour of the day where it typically gets a little bit busier. Plenty of people coming in to check out their merchandise. Groups as well as county council members have been calling for the unredacted version of this report. You can see this is the one that was released back in September. On the grounds here, you can see that there is still some debris that is scattered around this neighborhood. We spoke with a lot of people today, many of whom will be watching the games from home. They're disappointed. They're still proud of the team. But as you can imagine, this is a bit less festive than it was a few hours ago when we first arrived.
Right now, I'm painting Palestine.
From all walks of life,
All right.
different ages and backgrounds, there is still solidarity in this group.
It was pro-Palestine all the way.
Not even a fraction of those expected to return to Freedom Plaza Saturday with a message.
There should absolutely be a ceasefire. The bombs need to stop falling in Gaza.
Brian Becker is with the Answer Coalition. The anti-war organization is one of the sponsoring groups behind the Free Palestine March Saturday. They are supporting calls for ceasefire, aiming to pressure the Biden administration to stop sending aid to Israel.
We have Muslims, we have Christians, we have Jewish people, we have people of all walks of life and all faiths coming together against what we consider to be a criminal war against the people of Gaza. It's not anti-Semitism to disagree with Israel's policy.
The march comes days after the U.S. House passed a bill to send more than $14 billion in federal aid dollars to Israel, a bill the White House has already signaled President Biden would veto because it does not include funding for Ukraine.
As Israel conducts its campaign to defeat Hamas, how it does so matters.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken met Friday with senior Israeli leadership. He says the U.S. supports Israel's right to defend itself, consistent with international humanitarian law.
I've returned to the region to engage in intense diplomacy with our partners to try to help ensure that an attack like October 7th never happens again. And in doing so, that we forge a different future, a very different future for Israelis and Palestinians alike.
Organizers behind Saturday's movement say the future is now and time is ticking.
Thousands of people, half of whom are children, have died in recent weeks.
More than 24 hours later, parts of this Arlington neighborhood are still wrapped by police tape. Sam Kim is trying to make sense of what happened just past his backyard.
I feel like I'm at a point where it's like, did that really happen? Like, is there a police, am I really getting interviewed right now for this?
This explosion, captured on camera, now seen around the country. Police Tuesday say all signs point to 56-year-old James Yu as responsible for the explosion Monday night. They were first called to the home after a flare-type gun had been fired more than 30 times.
You can just hear the police saying we're not leaving until you come out, James. Arlington police will not leave. Etc.
Police were eventually able to get a warrant and try to break through the door with shots fired at them, as they did before the blast.
The scene is beyond where it occurred. There was an explosion, so evidence is clearly displaced. When there's an explosion, there's the firefighting effort. So it's not a standard where you show up and conduct your investigation. There's a lot of moving pieces.
Pieces, including why and what caused the explosion and who Yu was. Neighbors say they have questions.
I just think it's crazy. You never know who's living around you. And very surprising, especially in a place like Arlington.
A place so many call home.
If it was a little bigger, I think it would have annihilated the entire police squad and even some neighbors.
Trick or treat.
Dinosaurs, superheroes, and witches.
You can get one from every bowl.
These are some of the characters this Aldi neighborhood saw Tuesday, but on this Halloween night, there was another guest.
The red one was really hard. There's a lot of intricacies and cutouts of that. I think that one took me probably the longest.
The longest of 10 pumpkins carved in honor of Taylor Swift. Rachel Crowless spent between 4 and 7 hours on each, a labor of love on hard styrofoam that's turned into a tradition to showcase on Halloween night.
This year I decided to do all of the Taylor Swift album covers. Obviously Taylor Swift's had kind of a big year, if you want to call it that.
A big year inspiring some of the mega stars' littlest fans.
With the heart, see the heart, that means that's the lover thing.
Carrie Sorensen's daughter dressed up as, yup, you guessed it.
She's a Swiftie.
Is Mama Swiftie?
Undercover Swiftie.
In years past, Crowless used real pumpkins to carve, but found they don't last as long.
I'm not an artist by trade, but I've always been really into doing art. So even from when I was a kid, I always wanted to try and do harder patterns every year.
They're now a treat for the eyes with everlasting life.
I did all of that myself. That's definitely not a trick.